my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Sunday video where I look at the hottest Golden Age comics for the week, and it's a list. I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting one, actually, but man, I'm a little bit surprised what's going on, and we'll get into it. So, number 10 on the list is Walt Disney Comics and Stories, number 134. This is from Dell, 1951. It's a Carl Barks cover, story, and art. Great, the good duck artist. Well, this is where he introduces a new set of characters called the Beagle Boys, who are the main rivals or nemesis for Uncle Scrooge. Well, this is the book that introduces them. Kind of a major key for Uncle Scrooge fans. This was a 5.0 that sold, a 5.0 copy, and it sold for a best offer. It was originally listed at $230, and it sold for a best offer of $190, which was actually a pretty strong sale. This book had previous record of $110 set back in April of 2023. So a strong sale for this book. This is one that I think has always been a little bit undervalued, considering how important of characters these are for Uncle Scrooge. And these are ones that are kind of hard to find in high grade. Finding them in low grade is relatively easy because they were mass produced, but finding them in high grade, quite difficult. There are 40 of these on the census, and 38 are Universal Blue Labels. Number 9 on the list is Exposed number 1. This is from DS Publishing, 1948. It's a interesting one because it has like a girl in the red dress. She's getting strangled on the cover. And you got in the background the Grim Reaper kind of watching over. It's just a really cool pre-code horror cover. And this was a 1.0 copy that sold, and it sold for $390. This is the only sale for this book in grade, but we can compare it to a 0.5 that sold in December of 2024, where it sold for $312. Now, there is some price compression at these lower grades, because there was a 1.5 that sold back in September of 2024 for $360. So usually when you get to these kind of key books, mostly about the cover, there's a lot of price compression that happens. So between a 0.5 and maybe even a 2, very little differences in price. So I think this was a strong price based on that. I mean, it sold for more than the 1.5 did, so it was a good sale for this one. There are 41 of these on the census, and 40 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 8 on the list is Fight Comics number 31. This is from Fiction House, 1944. It's a Joe Doolin cover, and it's a classic one. There's decapitation covers that happened throughout the Golden Age, but none so horrific as this. If you look at crime suspense stories, where it's the classic guy holding the girl's head and the axe, well, they don't show the blood, for example. They don't show the fact that it's actually literally decapitation or severed from the body. Well, this one doesn't hold back. And this is earlier. This is before all the pre-code craziness. This is 1944. So this is height of the war. This is showing a World War II situation where the guy is literally getting his head chopped out. Blood is pumping up through the neck, squirting all over the place. It is a pretty gory cover. These Fight comics had some pretty crazy covers, and this was probably one of the more crazy ones. So it's a classic decapitation cover. This was a 2.0 that sold, and it sold for $835, which is way down. This is actually a really weak sale for this book. The previous record for this book was set back in November of 2020. It hasn't sold for a while, and it sold back then for $1,170. Since then, the book has been a little bit soft, tell you the truth. There was a 4.0 that sold in February of 2025, so just this year, for $1,580. So this is more in line with the current price, where this book has kind of tumbled a bit. It's kind of sad to see because it's such a classic decapitation cover. Not many that are this extreme, even in the golden age. So yeah, just a bit of a weak sale. It's down about 20%, from its previous highs. So it is what it is. Number on the census is 70, and there's 66 that are universal blue labels. Number 7 on the list is Junior number 12. This is from Fox Feature Syndicate, 1948. It's an Al Felstein cover, and it's a great one. It's a headlight cover. It's when Al Felstein was doing these books, he did all the art for it. He did everything for it, the story, the art, everything. And his art style for his good girl art was very interesting. It was almost like the women had static cling in their clothing. It was just like, or a wet t-shirt kind of thing. They're very sexualized, I would have to say. And it's known for that. So it's kind of like Archie, but a little bit more sexy version of Archie. Well, this one was a 4.0 that sold, and it sold for $800, which is slightly down from its heights, which were in July of 2024 for $830. This is more of a price confirmation than it is necessarily a major drop in price, because before that, like if you look at June of 2024 or earlier, this was more of like a $500 to $600 book. In June of 2024, for example, it sold for $575. So this is more a confirmation of that new $800 threshold, that it's a $200 per point book. So actually more of a price correction, a bit more of a flat book. Good price for this one. There are 36 of these on the census, and 34 of them are universal blue labels. Number 6 on the list is Strange Tales number 28. And this is from Atlas Comics, 1954. It's a Harry Anderson cover, and it's just a classic skeleton cover. It's just really, I like the way that the skeleton is depicted on this. It's really quite macabre. It's just cool if you're into pre-code horror, like I am. This was a 2.0 that sold, and it sold for $1,216. Now, it's the only sale for this book in this grade, but it was a strong sale, because if you look at the 1.5 that sold in December of 2024, its record high was $543. So this is more than 2.5 times what that other slightly lower grade had sold for. But as I said, there's usually a lot of price compression in these lower grades. So this was a strong sale. I would have expected this book more into that $700 range, maybe $700, $800. So this was a really strong sale for this book. There are 75 of these on the census, and 71 of them are universal blue labels. Number 5 on the list is Phantom Stranger number 1. This is from DC Comics, 1952. It's a Carmen Infantino comic cover. And this is the first appearance of the Phantom Stranger, sort of a major key book. And this one I was really disappointed by. That's why I was a little bit about the list. I was a little bit, because this one to me is, I really like this book. I like the Phantom Stranger. And when I saw this sale, I was like, oh, really? I was a little disappointed by it. Well, this was a 5.0 that sold, and it sold for $1,920. Which is way down from its previous records. This book sold for $3,080 at its peak in September of 2021. So this is one of those books that went a little crazy during COVID. It actually shot up quite significantly during COVID. It has since corrected from that price, where it's been really selling for around the $2,400 mark. I mean, there was a sale back in December of 2024 where it sold for $2,473. So it's been in sort of that $2,400 mark for the last little while, but it's now gone down another $500 from that sort of where it was sort of resting for a while. So not looking good for that book. I really like that book. It's just like one that I really like, Phantom Stranger. So I was a little bit disappointed to see this weak sale. There's 123 of these on the census, and 111 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 4 on the list is New York World's Fair Comics 1940. This is from DC Comics 1940. It's a Jack Burnley cover. And it's the first time you get Superman, Batman, and Robin on the cover. So it's kind of a key book that way. And this one later leads to World's Finest. This is kind of the precursor for World's Finest. This was a 4.5 that sold, and it sold for $3,090. Again, this is a major decrease in price because the previous record for this book was set back in April of 2022 for $3,600. So it's down about 20% from that prior record. Now, this book has been kind of a little bit weaker actually in the last 2 to 3 years, where it's been selling between $2,900 and $3,300. So it's been a little bit weaker since that big sale, but still, this is below that where it was kind of selling for. Bit of a weak sale for this one. There's 178 of them on the census, and 138 are Universal Blue Labels. Number 3 on the list is Captain America Comics number 30. This is from Timely 1939. It's a Sid Shores cover, and it's Bucky in bondage. What can I say? It's Bucky in bondage. Guys going at him with a giant snake. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And you got Captain America flexing and doing his, beating up the guys to get to Bucky. Just really cool cover. Sid Shores is one of these underrated artists, in my opinion. He does produce some really cool covers. Usually when we think of these Captain America comics, we think more of the Alex Schomburg covers, which have a lot more things going on. But these Sid Shore ones are pretty cool as well. So just wanted to put that out there. This was a 6.0 that sold, and it sold for $3,500, which is up from the prior record that this book has set. The previous record for it was in April of 2025, where it sold for $3,120, which was actually a pretty strong record at the time. So this is up from that prior record. Very strong sale for a cool book. Maybe people are realizing Sid Shores is pretty cool. So there's 98 of these on the census, and 82 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 2 on the list is Batman number 2. This is from DC Comics 1940. It's a Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson cover, and it's the second appearance of the Joker. In this, the Catwoman isn't shown yet. She's still not shown until issue number 3, but this is where they actually first refer to her as Catwoman rather than the Cat. In Batman 1, she's referred to as Cat. There's like letters that she'll leave, and it'll be signed the Cat. But this one, she's referred to as Catwoman. So, but still not there. It's like all these cameos and until we get to the first full appearance. Well, the first full appearance of Catwoman is in number 3. But this is still a pretty cool cover and comic. You got, the typical, pushing somebody over, somebody that's bent on their hands and knees kind of trope on the cover. Classic tripping cover. This was a 1.8 that sold, and I can't find the records for what it sold for exactly, but I know there was a best offer that was placed on it. I think at the time of me recording this, the census just hasn't updated yet with the sale, because this was a brand new sale. This just happened. This was I picked it up as this is literally minutes before recording this. And it sold for a best offer where the original price was $5,000. So I'm thinking probably in the 4,000s what this one sold for. Anything that was the best offer on this one was a steal, because the previous record for this book was set back in July of 2024 for $5,040. So basically, they're getting a best offer for something under FMV. So very, lucky person out there that picked this up for a bit of a steal. Very cool book. Early Batman, number 2. I mean, it's early. So, kind of a weak sale for this one, obviously. There are 268 of these on the census, and 162 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 1 on the list is Daredevil Battles Hitler. And this is also known as Daredevil number 1. The title actually changes to Daredevil after this. It's a Leave Gleason comic, and it was from 1941. It's a Charles Biro cover, and it's just a classic one. I love this book. I own this book. It's right behind me. This one is got this crazy Hitler photo cover where he's being attacked by Daredevil, and also you got the claw, which is cool as well. Just a really classic book. This was a 2.5 that sold, and it sold for $5,250, which was slightly down from its prior record of $5,280, so $30 down. So kind of in line with what it sold for before, where it sold in February 2023. So this is kind of interesting in a way, because it kind of confirms that price, that $5,200 price. But this was a best offer. Originally, it was listed at $6,500, and I'm thinking that the person that had it listed probably was the same person that bought it for the $5,200, and basically they're just getting their money out of this book, and minus all the fees, so they're probably losing a bit of money. And I think that's really what I noticed with this list, that a lot of the sales were like that, where people are just really getting their money back out. They're not even trying to make a profit on it. They're not trying to get some big boost in revenue from the books. They're really just accepting best offer, even sometimes below what they paid for the book, just to get out of the books, which is not a good sign. But it shows that they are liquid as an asset, but not necessarily as financially beneficial as you would expect. So a little bit of a weak. But what do you think? What do you think's going on with the market? Do you think people are just cashing in some of the books, maybe not for a profit, but just cashing in, moving on to something else? Or what do you think's happening with the market? Tell me in the comments below. I'd really like to hear people's opinion about it. This Daredevil one, by the way, there's 103 of them on the census, and 75 are Universal Blue Labels. So thanks again for watching. Bye for now.